for hip nerds with a love for everything geek. Collectibles, sports, fashion, and of course food. What? They may have lost a few 100 pounds, but they'll always be fat to me. What? No, that's fat with a PH. This is Beyond the Routine with Chris, Jones, and some guy named Dave.
That's right, we killed Dave, folks. It's out in the open. Dave
is dead. Wait, what was that episode? Jesse is dead. Long live Jesse. Wasn't that the title of one of our episodes?
Yeah, Dave is dead now.
Now it's Dave is dead. Long live Dave.
So, I have a quick question.
I might have a quick answer.
Why does it say fashion? Exactly.
Which?
Well, in the intro there, it says fashion. Do we have a segment that could be considered fashion?
No, I think he refers to us not being fashionable. I think it's a play.
Because it's like everything geek, including food, collectibles, fashion. When I think geek, I don't think fashion.
No, nobody thinks fashion.
You think fashion, Marty?
No,
First
nobody
thing
thinks.
off my head.
Hey, geek fashion, very important.
That's true, especially nowadays. It's true. Pete is he's seeing where the puck is going.
The puck? You're a hockey fan now?
Way into geeky fashion.
No, you've never heard that saying?
Never heard that saying.
Wayne Gretzky's dad. He said Wayne is so good because he could see where the puck was going.
Well, very good. All right. What are we starting with today?
I don't know.
Let's start with this one like we normally do.
They can barely remember the last segment, but for some reason want to talk about last week. Don't worry, it won't take long. This is Week in Review on Beyond the Routine.
So that's Week in Review. There we go. All
So
right, next.
I actually did do something that tags up to something previously on Beyond the Routine. So previously on Beyond the Routine, and let me see if I can pull it out here without
Oh, God. You can't do that. There's children watching.
showing my... So we talked about Movie Pass.
Oh, yeah. You did buy it, didn't you?
And I finally got the Movie Pass. So they're about a month behind on it. Have you heard of this service, Mr. Marty?
No, I have
So what
not.
this service is, it's a service that's been around for a while, actually. You pay a monthly subscription fee, and then using their app, basically, they can tell when you're in the vicinity of a theater, and then if you go park your car, you say, okay, I'm going to the 7:15 show at this theater, and it says, okay, he's within 100 yards of the theater, so they turn on the MasterCard, you go and you purchase your ticket, and they turn off the MasterCard. And so they've had it for a while. They've had different tiered plans starting at $24.99, which is like, I think, one movie a week, and then up to $99.99, which is like any IMAX movie, one a day, for 30 days, right?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't catch the first part because I saw Dave join and I got excited. What up, Dave? But you said the card can tell how close you are to a theater?
No, the app.
Okay.
So what happens is that you check in with the app, and the app says, okay, you're in the parking lot of Century 16, and you want to see a 7:15 at there. Okay, that checks out. What's the last four of your card? You put in the last four of the card. Your card is now activated for 30 minutes. And then you go buy your movie like
with
you
the
normally
Movie
would.
Pass card.
And it's a MasterCard.
Okay.
And then, so the big news is a month ago, and the CEO of this company, he's not the founder of the company, but he's the CEO of the company. He was previously the CEO of a little company called Redbox. And then before that, he was one of the founders of Netflix.
Oh, really?
So, guy has pedigree, right?
Well, the guy likes movies. That's a for sure thing.
Guy likes to change the way we consume media is how I feel about it. But
Yeah.
so he
Rectally?
he basically oh my god.
Is that not a thing?
Richard Gere movies will never be the same. It's the gerbil thing all over.
How else am I supposed to get the gerbil out?
Yeah. Would you like IMAX? Would you like two? No, I'd like two for rectally, please. Can I get the rectally seats? Like, way in the back. So it's a month behind on this thing. So the big news is they dropped it to $9.99. So they got a big thing of venture capital, and they said, okay, this is our last stand. Either we get as many subscribers as we can, as fast as we can, and then go to the movie theaters and say, hey, we have 500,000 subscribers behind us, and if you don't start discounting, however they're going to do it. And then the third tier, their little plan is to sell the advertisement type data and stuff like that. So it took me a month to get the card, and I finally got it this week. I went and saw the first movie, and I made it a point because they've have trouble with AMC theaters because AMC has come out and said they are not about this. They do not like it. They're going to sue MoviePass, all this stuff. So I've read there's only one AMC theater in town. It's the AMC Regal in Taylorsville.
Okay.
At least that's the only AMC theater I know of.
No, there's AMC in West Jordan.
Okay, there's one in West Jordan too, but the only one I know is in Taylorsville. So I went to that one and I saw American Made. Had no problem. Went up to the kiosk, swiped my card, got a seat, all that, no problem, and it was pretty good. I'm going to go see a movie probably tomorrow after work with it too. So, my thing is that I only got it for myself. I didn't get it for my wife or my family because I want to try to see more movies by myself. So
I know we talked about this previously, but what is AMC's beef? They're still getting full price for the ticket, are they not?
their beef is that eventually the Movie Pass is because Movie Pass is hemorrhaging money, right? So if I see 10 movies, they have to pay $80, and I'm only paying them $10 a month. So their thing is that they're worried that what's going to happen is they're going to come to them and say, "Look, we have all these subscribers. You need to start cutting us in on your concession profits, or you need to start cutting us in off."
So they're worried about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Correct.
That's just silly.
Yep. So we'll have to see what happens. It's a pretty ingenious thing. I think it's awesome.
So you've had good experiences with all of your Movie Pass thus far?
I've only used it once. I'm going to use it tomorrow again.
Did your wife have one?
She does not.
Are you going to get her one?
I was going to get her one as well, yeah. So I'll probably order that over the weekend just because it takes a month apparently to get it. So I'll order it for her. So I mean, if you go 2 movies a month, it breaks even, right?
So now, do you think they're doing this to try and get more people back into the theater, or
that's what they say their thing is, right? They want to get more people back into the theater. They want these movies because right now is the time to be in the theater, right? Because we have all these huge blockbuster movies and people are stopping going to the theater. But I don't know. I think they're just doing it to try to turn things on their head again when it comes like what they did with Redbox and what they did with Netflix. So
right now, let me ask you how do you consume most of your media?
Through either my TV or my PC.
But you still go to the movies.
Yeah, I probably go to the movies at least 3 times a month.
Okay, that's a lot. What about you?
Nowhere near that much. I mean, I probably haven't been in a movie theater since... What movie did we go see? What was the last one that Red Sky... Yeah, Despicable Me 3 was the last one that yeah, so Despicable Me 3 was the last time I went to a theater, so however many months ago that was.
Okay.
Several.
And see, I'm more like that. I mean, I consume, I'd say, 90% of my media through online.
Right.
I go to the movies when my wife tells me we're going.
But then again, same thing is this could be good if I could do it on a month by month basis, right? Like cancel it and then, oh, you know what? May's awesome months for movies, right?
Yeah, well,
November's
like February, August,
great months for movies.
August,
December,
worst time for movies.
So if I'm saying,
or not August,
all the time on May, I'm usually seeing probably 2 to 3 movies in theaters, typically the blockbusters, right? And then November, same thing, 2 to 3 movies in November, typically around that time. So if I could get it on May and November, I'd be ahead. But other than that, I'm just losing.
I know
money.
that a lot of the people that are tuning in, like I know that the Peterses, for example, they go all the time. But
by the way, there's some beef between a certain viewer and a certain Peters.
That's true.
There's some beef going on.
Favorites.
Yeah, and by the way, Dave, I think somehow, some way, you're commenting as BtR. So that's kind of weird. It shows you joined, and then now you're commenting as BtR. So just an FYI for you.
But
he says you're looking good, though, Marty.
They go to the movie. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that you? Who is that?
I don't know. I don't.
My volume's off. It's not me. Where is it coming from?
Oh, is it coming from my phone?
It was Marty. Marty did it. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, so it like I know people in my life consume movies more often than not, but they also consume them on a budget basis. So they'll go to the $5 movies.
Right.
So this is just another extension of that. So I know we'll see. I honestly don't think they're going to have enough subscriber base to get what they want to do. I think they're going to run out of money far before. Because I'm looking online and there's people,
love Jessica Brandon.
People that are
sorry,
going
that's just the way it is.
Single day. They're going every single day on this.
I have one job on this show, and it's to report the views, and the people's commenting. That's my job. And if I have to interrupt Stoles to say it, then I'm going to do it.
That's true. But
all right.
Anyway, did you do anything fun this week, Marty? Did you do anything awesomeness?
No, I worked
That's
a lot.
That's never good.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's lame. What about you, Jones?
Yeah, same thing. A lot of work.
Are we going to the movie tomorrow?
No.
What movie?
2049?
Blade Runner. Steven wants to go see Blade Runner. I will not be in town tomorrow. Do you want to go see Blade Runner with Steven?
No, I didn't like the first
Whoa,
Blade
he doesn't
Runner.
want to go see Blade Runner with you, dude. He's going to go see it by himself.
What time?
But not with you.
What time? We'll talk after the thing. I'll go see it with you. I'll go see it with you. I got Movie Pass now, man. I could stand to see a movie that maybe I don't like. That's one of the things with the Movie Pass. This is Movie Pass.
I don't know you, Brandon. Stoles might love you, but I don't even know you. Sorry.
We do love all our viewers. We don't love them equally, though. We love them, though.
We don't love them equally.
Well, I'm just saying, my wife's in there, your wife's in there. I know how much you love my wife. You know how much you love your wife. Anyway,
right.
so what we didn't prepare a very good show today, Jones. What do you want to do first?
Let's do the let's do Marty's discussion, which comes, I believe, from
Tech news.
this particular segment.
So
Hold on.
Drop
We
in
have
your
a bumper,
quarters
Marty.
and hold on to the joystick. It's time for news and stories from the gaming world. Gaming news in the arcade.
There we go.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So one of the things that I was kind of thinking about was a lot of the new games I'm playing. I'm noticing, at least for me, that there was a big increase in graphic performance in the last 5 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when I first started gaming, which was a long time ago, but the first games
Be
I
honest.
started,
When did you start gaming? What games is baby gamer Marty playing?
okay, first game
Yeah,
I remember playing
on a PC.
on a PC. First game was I think was an Indiana Jones game. Possibly there was 24 small floppy disks.
Okay.
The other one was I bought a magazine from England, and it actually had a floppy disk with it, and I played the first Doom. Not Doom, Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein?
3D.
So that's my first like that. I played this dungeon crawler game that my brother put on my like TRS 80 like forever ago, and I don't remember the name of it. But my first like sitting down and like getting engrossed and beating a game was Wolfenstein 3.
Right, and that was mine. And I played that to death.
Oh, I played it so much.
I love that one.
I still have like dreams to this day of strafing around that last level. If you remember, there's a bunch of pillars, and you just strafe around in a circle and kill Mecha Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good game.
Well, what about you, Jones?
Wolfenstein 3D, definitely there. I don't think I got into it as much as I did Doom later on.
Okay.
Doom was so good.
Yeah, it was Wolfenstein was cool. It was a first, right? That whole first person
Absolutely.
thing, right? Like you're just like,
And
this is
it
intense.
was a 2D game that they made
Yes.
look 3D.
Look 3D, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, things they did, and then also the difference between Doom and Wolfenstein is Wolfenstein was very, very repetitive. It was a lot of walking down hallways, walking into a room. It was like a dungeon crawler. Where Doom
was open world,
so different.
Yeah, it had more open world.
Yeah, you'd go in one
qualities to
thing
it.
and they'd have a huge pit and they'd have these doors, and then you go in another thing and it'd be hallway and it'd be running and gunning. Oh, sorry. Anyway,
And see, but that's what I loved about those games. I mean, because they were very different. There was a lot of content.
Still
compared
playable.
to yeah. But what I've noticed now is I'm looking at newer games, and like I said, so in the last 5 years or so, maybe even 10, looking at Battlefield 2 was one of the big progressions in first-person shooters. Then we got into Call of Duty.
yeah.
And then after that, then they went into the various Battlefield games. And I noticed there was a huge difference in the graphics. I mean, every time it was like a generational change, and you noticed it.
Yeah.
And everyone had to up their PC. I mean, this is where we were dropping, I mean, like back then, it was a lot of money. I was dropping like $500-600 on a video card, which now is like not a big deal.
that's- It's still a good
Still
video
good,
card,
yeah.
but it's
It's
nowhere
a
near
better
top
video
of the
card
line,
than
right?
I've never bought a $500 or $600 video card ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I
Well, look at a game from 10 years ago. I'm going to shock you for a second.
All right.
BioShock came out 11 years ago.
Right.
yeah,
That is still a gorgeous game.
right.
No, like so the big game that we first got into multiplayer on, I would say, like, is your Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, MOHA as we used to call it, right? That was one of the big ones that Dave, Jesse, and myself, and then as at the LANs as well when we do LAN parties, that was a big one we used to play. And then Battlefield 1942.
Yeah.
The original school Battlefield,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
the original one, and then all. You remember how many what were they called? Just hacks, not necessarily hacks, but different versions they came out for that, right? People just built on top of it. Like there was the Battlefield, all the different Battlefield mods, I guess is the best way to say it, that brought, instead of it being 1942, it had all the current tanks, current helicopters, the Apache and everything else, that it was the hacks you could do for this and the mods that they put on
And
it.
that was what made PC gaming.
Yeah, it was mods.
You
and
couldn't do
everything
that
else.
on a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
You were stuck with what you got. With these, people, took the time to mod them and everything else. And then all the different maps for Mohat. The game is still popular today on the internet.
Yeah.
Because people are still making maps for it.
Well, that's like Half-Life.
Yeah. Same
Half-Life's
scenario.
another game where
right.
there's a ton of mods. I mean, you look at all the different mods that came out. But again, so we started talking about these generational changes in graphics and how they started looking so different. Each time you had to up your PC, you had to up your... I mean, I used to play with 2 gig of RAM. Now I've got 32 gig of RAM. That's the standard.
What do you need 32 gig of RAM for? Just multi-threading in the game, or does
Your
it?
game would never use your 32 gig RAM. It's when you-
'cause I
you still-
could.
You still want to stream as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's multi. It has to do with your multitasking.
And
stuff
I do
when
a
it
lot
comes
of
to that stuff.
a lot of recording as well. So I do a lot of YouTube and streaming. So I agreed. I don't need 32 gig, but it's nice to have.
Yeah.
It's also cheap enough that it's not a big deal.
Yeah, RAM
I mean,
is
really.
not expensive anymore.
Yeah, but the one thing I noticed is as we keep changing and getting these better graphics, suddenly things have started switching, where the
Thank you.
graphics are not a generational change like they used to be.
No,
Because I've actually found there's a lot of games out there, and they're good games because they're really good content. But like there's the one Goo,
World of Goo.
World of Goo. There's a whole bunch of Slime Rancher.
There's all
and that-
kinds of. I mean, if we're talking indie games, we're talking like Inside, which is
Right.
huge. All these games, they don't require a lot of graphics.
And
No,
they're
they don't.
still
super
great games.
popular, super fun.
But they're really good games.
Yeah.
But a
Super
lot of
Meat Boy.
Which one?
Super Meat Boy. You ever played that
I
one?
haven't played that one.
Anyway, sorry.
I think one of the most simple ones out there that's the puzzle type game that's been super popular, Antichamber.
Yeah, Antichamber.
I mean, that game, you couldn't get more simple graphics. than
Thomas
that.
Was Alone was huge a couple years ago, indie game. But you know, it's funny you say this, Marty, and you bring this up because I recently went from two 6600s to a 970, right? Which is a 5-generation change.
Right.
A 5-generation change, and is switching from to NVIDIA. And I mean, I noticed a difference in that I was having some hiccups on some older games, but I don't really notice a difference. I'm not playing on 4K monitors, for one, so I'm
Right.
not playing in 4K, so I don't notice a difference between if it's in 4K or if it's in 1080. So I definitely. Do you think that's going to affect? Do you think less people are upgrading because of that?
I don't know. I don't hear people upgrading, at least within our group, the way we used to. Because it used to be, for the next Battlefield or for the next whatever game we're going to play, I need to get a 1080. I need to get this. I don't hear that as much. But what I think it's kind of leveled off, and that's kind of the point where I'm going is things seem to have leveled off with graphics and their quality, and in some cases even gone backwards, which is okay because the content's really good.
Yeah.
But you also then, if it's an independent game, there's a lot of those. But if you start taking a look at the big manufactured games, they're only using one of a few engines. A lot of them is the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, Unreal.
And so everything is based on what can you do with the Unreal Engine, and
Everything.
well, but there are still limitations.
No,
We literally could be in Unreal right now, and you'd have no idea.
Yes, Unreal 4 can create a world so real you can't tell the difference.
Well then,
How powerful it is.
Hold on. Does that mean that I'm? Oh my gosh.
you're in the Matrix, Chris. So I think to that point though, let's just also we kind of talked about what our first games were, everything else. What was the first game graphics wise that you played that you just went, this is a whole nother level, right? You're just looking at it during the gameplay going, that's a whole nother level type of thing. Like what was the first game that took you there?
I know mine.
I know mine. I'll go first. Far Cry. The first Far Cry. It was like the water, right? The water in Far Cry. That was the first game that actually got water right. And not just standing water, but walking through the water. You looking down and watching the water react to your walking, it was unreal. You're just
Far
like,
Cry was
blew
the
my
most
mind.
demanding game at the time.
At the time,
Yes.
yeah.
The
And to me, it was the most under... the land potential for Far Cry never met what the potential was, right? Like, it never took off, even though I really felt it should have, because the open world of Far Cry was far bigger and more superior to anything else out at that time. It was almost infinite on the open world stuff. They really didn't have much of a limitation on their first open world type of maps and everything else.
And Far Cry is made by Crytek, right? Which also makes
it uses the
Crysis.
the cryo
Which
engine.
Crysis is, for a long is it that way nowadays? Like I remember that was the thing. It's like I don't even think people played Crysis. I swear it was just like you upgraded your computer
And then
you
see if it
you'd
would.
put Crysis in Ultra and you'd be like, boom, 60 FPS, baby.
Yeah, Far Cry for the longest time was the industry standard for the benchmark.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Everything, every new release, hardware-wise, you benchmark it against hardware.
Yeah, and then it was Metro after that.
Metro, yep.
I think for me, graphics-wise, the big one was probably Battlefield 3 was the
3, yeah. Battlefield 3 was intense. It was.
and that one was the destructive environments. Was it? Did they start that in Battlefield? They did, didn't they?
Oh, where the environments were reactive to. Yeah, absolutely.
And the physics in that was actually really cool. Which
Right.
unfortunately, physics never took off the way we expected. But
And it's sad because Far Cry actually had physics in it as well.
Yeah.
Back then, back then, that was and the reactionary things that happened in that world, much similar to the Battlefield things. Is I will never forget one of the first things I was just wandering around in this open world game, and I look up and I'm next to a boat, and I see that it's got this lifeboat hanging on the side of it, and I thought, I shoot at the lifeboat, one of the chains holding it on. That chain broke, and the boat then dangled down. And I shot the other chain, and the boat dropped, and I could then take it and run away with it. And it was just like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you would have never thought to do that in a million years because with most FPSs, it's what's available is there in front of you, ready to jump
Everything
on
else
and go.
is just a box
Yeah.
that's shaped. Yeah.
Right. And then
I bet somewhere the person that like spent 125 hours animating that like is just all like, my heart is warm. My heart is warm. So for me, it would. So just to keep up, yours is 2004. Yours is 2011. Mine's 2006, and I'm going to say it again. BioShock.
Yeah.
You go through that. It's giving me chills just thinking about it. You go through that initial like beginning of BioShock, and then you're in. Spoilers for those that haven't played an 11-year-old game. The very beginning of the game, you're on a plane and it crashes, and then you're in the middle of the ocean. And I don't know about you, but I just stood there for a second. Like I'm in the middle of the ocean, just standing there, because I thought I was still in a cutscene.
Right.
I mean, the beauty of the ocean, which is on fire from this plane crash all around you, and a very clear path forward. I still just stood there for about 2-3 minutes, and I was like, Wazda, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in a game. And like BioShock was just, I mean, that was the game that got me back into PC gaming. So I was out of PC gaming for years and years and years. And I played that game on my brother's computer. And right after that, I was like, I have to build a computer. And I've never been the type of person to build a top-of-the-line computer. I'm very mid-tier. But a mid-tier computer is still better than most consoles. And
yes.
yeah, that I still play those games all the time just because they're so awesome. And then for me, like one of the... like I'm sure you guys have played Borderlands. Like, that was another one for me.
Borderlands was another first in a lot of ways.
It just felt so like surreal. Like it felt like the kind of dream you have when you wake up and you're like, "Damn, that was a good dream." Like
Right.
just the whole art style of it.
And I remember actually, I think Steven was there with us at the first PAX I went to. Borderlands was yet to be released. It was still in development, I guess, but they had a huge booth at that PAX. Do you remember that, Steven?
I was gonna move this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you go? You were at the first PAX we went to, right?
You know.
Or was it the second one you showed up to?
It was the second
Was it the second one? Okay, so the first PAX we went to had this Borderlands booth essentially, and it was so awesome because the booth's art was exactly like the game's art, you know, with the big bold border lines and everything, and then the subtle textures and everything within it. And so, yeah, that game with it truly basically The open world was something completely different than we'd ever seen before. The gun combinations was something completely different than we'd never seen before. You know, that idea of infinite possibility of guns because of the different factors that they put into the guns. The abilities, the toxic, the flame, the ice, the this. All that. So it was intense, and we all had high hopes, but we all at the same time in the back of our minds thinking it's too good to be true. There can't be a game this good. It's just something's got to be wrong with it.
And then they popped out that sequel so quick. And then I expected Borderlands, and they haven't done anything. I've been expecting Borderlands 3 forever.
Yeah.
The pre-sequel didn't do it for me. Like the pre-sequel,
I still loved it. I loved it. It wasn't.
I didn't like
it wasn't
the gravity
as good.
thing. The gravity thing.
And granted, it was a different studio, right? It was the Australian
Yeah.
studio that did the pre-sequel, and
Yes.
that's no longer around. But
It made me happy. All like there was definitely that has to be like as an Australian. That game must warm your heart so much because there were some references in there.
Yeah.
Like I got it enough to realize that this was some kind of Australian popular culture reference,
Right.
but I didn't understand it enough to understand what the hell they were talking about.
Christopher Maybe says that he thinks that I think this was back during the BioShock discussion, is that it was one of the first DirectX 10 games, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
I don't play. Do you play games for the graphics? I play games for the gameplay, man.
No, I play for the. Yeah, I definitely play for the gameplay.
I'm playing Telltale games. I'm playing indie games like that.
Yeah.
Those aren't graphic heavy games at all. I mean, Telltale games are pretty, but they're not graphically
Right.
pretty.
Right.
But
So
I think Nintendo's savior is the fact that the games are super entertaining, right?
Oh, my
And
gosh.
they're cheap to produce because their games, if you look at them graphic wise, it's the same maps, it's the same characters, it's the same everything that they can just reuse, right? They just put them in different places, maybe change the texture here or there on a certain character, a certain background image or something like that, but it's all essentially the same, and they're just throwing these into these games, making sequels and making, what are they up to now on Mario Kart, like 432 or something like
8.
that, and so
8,
at least
but you have to realize 8 means that they've made probably like 20.
yeah, so it's it's just insane, and they're pumped. And like I said, I think that's the secret to their success is they're making their games fun at not at the expense of making them super pretty.
I also think that Nintendo benefits from the pickup factor. Like I can pick up a Nintendo game, put it in, be playing it with my kid within 2 or 3 minutes, play it for 20 minutes and put it down and feel like, oh, I had a nice little gaming session with my daughter.
Well, and that's, I think, one of the big differences in a lot of games rather than getting into, like, the game that I'm playing now the most is Ark.
Yeah, you
Ark,
said about
you
that.
can't
How about
walk
that?
away.
You can't walk away from it? I better not start playing it then.
No, because then dinos eat you. It's a fun game. It's super fun. I mean, it's... But,
Is that the one where it's like new technology and old world?
No, it's dinosaurs. You
So it's actual old dinosaurs, not robotic dinosaurs. What's
Yeah.
the movie with robotic
They're
dinosaurs?
robotic dinosaurs. It's an art. And like cool futuristic looking armors for dinosaurs.
if you get into the tech levels, yeah, and there is a lot of
They
mods
shoot-
for it
they
too.
shoot cannons and stuff.
Later on, much later on in the game, yeah.
Cool, okay. Awesome. Well, Stoll, do you want to go ahead and move into is that it, Marty? Do you have any more for that, for the gaming anything?
No.
That was a good conversation. I was excited when you brought it up because I think it's a very valid thing. I think the takeaway from this is game manufacturers, they said, are becoming less focused on the visually stunning things and more focused on gameplay, which I think gamers overall want. Gamers want both, but if visually stunning means a reduction in gameplay or you have to take away from gameplay to get visually stunning, they would never vote for that. They always are going to want gameplay over the visual.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Answer that real quick. I think lately there's been this trend of actually more to do with your monitor than anything as far as improving the visual experience of a game. Because now we're talking, because for the longest time we've been gaming on 60 hertz.
Right.
Right. And now, monitors are going, as high as like 200 plus hertz now.
Yes.
And it's making a real difference in how the visual experience is
Yes.
for any game. And you take any game on 144 hertz actually is prettier
Oh, absolutely.
than on a 60 hertz. And
Yes.
visually you can see the difference.
Well, it's funny. I had read, this is years ago, I had read that the human eye can only recognize up to 60 hertz, which is total BS. but that was some sales guy saying it because that's the best they could do at the time. If you play on and so I bought a 144 hertz monitor, which I've had for 5 years now. It makes a huge difference. You really do notice a difference, and there's a lot less eye strain. And so I can sit in front of my gaming monitors hours, sit in front of the monitor at work, and my eyes start getting tired. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big things.
You could tell. I have a TV right now. I have a 47-inch TV. It's a good enough TV. I've had it for like 6 or 7 years, but I get so jealous. I walk into like a Best Buy or and I have an LCD TV, or I think it's one of the very first LED TVs, but it's not like the real life TV. It's not like the TCL you have over here. Like, is it a TCL?
It's an Element. It's an
Element,
Amazon
yeah, the Amazon TV that you have over here. Like that TV, we're watching Star Trek on that TV. It's like my TV has never looked like that, and so it's like, gosh, I wish I had that. But I mean, I guess with it's like I said, like these people have like these awesome cards and they have just crap monitors. Like I'm guilty. I have the monitor. You know what monitors I have hooked to my gaming PC? The monitors they give me at work, which are not that great. So
I got to be honest. I was never a monitor snob until Powder. Right? Powder introduced me to the awesomeness that Dell display panels are.
You won't never.
Yeah,
back
it's
to
just
billion.
insane. I went Dell on their high end lines, and it's just haven't been back since. It's truly it makes a difference. There is a difference.
Now, have you looked at a 4K monitor?
I haven't even looked in 4K yet, to be honest.
you can't even get into a 4K monitor for under like $400 or $500, right?
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah.
Roughly.
They're lower end 4K monitors.
There's the
However-
South Korean ones that come like direct from the manufacturer that were
However,
popular.
you need a really top end video card.
Yes.
To even get to that 60 hertz, because you need 60 hertz at 4K.
I got a 970 now, baby.
That's not going to cut it.
Whoa, you
It
got
cut it
denied.
2 years ago.
Not a 4K game.
Oh, okay. I don't want a 4K game.
And I think that's why 4K hasn't taken off, and you see a lot more being pushed towards the 244 hertz monitors because people realize that 1080, or actually a lot of them are going to that
1440.
Yeah, that's what everyone's going to. That seems to be that sweet spot.
Yeah, and what's up with some of these, not PCs necessarily, but laptops doing weird ass resolutions?
Mm-hmm.
The main reason, for instance, I see you have a Surface, I have a Surface. The whole reason I didn't go with the new Surface laptop. Have you looked at it and seen what the screen shape is and then the resolution on it? It's a square screen with a totally jacked up resolution I've never even heard of before.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
It's closer to a 4 to 3.
yeah, it's
16 by.
Oh, really?
yeah, it's like 2540 by 1890 or some weird ass resolution.
It looks
like
like
that,
it's
crazy.
2736 by 1824.
Yeah, 18 something.
So
like
it's
I said,
the
it's
Pixel Sense 3.2.
and I
3.2,
Oh,
that's
it's
weird.
just it's ugly. That's all I gotta say about it.
Well, they haven't taken off, if you've noticed.
Yeah, they're not popular. Like I said, I will go with a Pro. I will upgrade. Is that a 4? Do you have the 4?
No, this is the 3.
3. Okay, so mine's a 3 as well.
You're the guy that stole it out of my trunk.
And I will go to the 4 before I go to the Surface Book or the new Surface laptop at all, because I love this thing. And honestly, you need to look into the bridge keyboards.
Yeah.
This thing is amazing.
We
I
did a
love
great
this thing.
review on it.
Yeah, we did a great review. It's very popular. We're big on YouTube.
Yeah, we're big on YouTube. I'm big everywhere. Well, not everywhere. Almost everywhere, my wife says.
Hold on. There we go.
No,
All
that
right,
was
good.
a phrasing.
Oh, that one too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, phrasing.
There you go.
All right, speaking of phrasing, I feel like I'm going to get this. So I'm going to try to keep this as PG-13 as possible, but if there's any kids watching at home, this is...
Parents, maybe get ready to cover ears.
So I
all
love
we're
this
gonna say.
game, and my wife hates this
Earmuffs.
game, and so I never get to play this game with anybody. So I'm excited to play this game. Have you ever played Would You Rather?
Sure.
So what we're going to do is we're going to play Would You Rather, and we're going to borrow a couple things from Reddit.
All right.
So I'm going to start off with a couple simple ones, and then there's actually one that I want you guys to really, really chew on. So, would you rather poop every time you orgasm, or have a 5% chance of saying the N-word in every conversation you have?
What?
So right off the bat,
That just you didn't even.
I did not bury the
No,
lead, baby.
no,
I
it was-
dove in.
You're just like, yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
5% chance in every conversation?
So 5% chance in every conversation you have to use the N-word.
So either I stop talking pretty much completely.
Like you talk to your boss 20 times a day. One of those times you're going to use the N-word with him.
My kids.
N-word.
Yeah.
Or with your wife, you're going to be like, oh.
Sorry, honey, we have to change the sheets again.
So for me, I feel like
Every
it would
time?
be. I feel like
Is it every time
Every
on the...
time?
every time you orgasm.
Whoa.
So I feel like it would be the poop thing because I feel like you could control that, right? Like I have a really hard time with control, and so I would be able to plan ahead, like maybe like hook a bag back there, maybe eat a lot of bran the night before.
No, what I'm seeing is you're just always having sex on the toilet. Where you're sitting on the toilet.
See, my wife would never have sex with me on the toilet.
Yeah, that's
Ever,
what's
ever.
going on.
Ever.
Yeah.
Or you be proactive and install the colostomy bag.
There you go. So let's see what some of the people on Reddit said.
What did they say?
There's not a lot of comments.
Wait.
So
what-
I'm not.
you-
It's a horrible choice, but you have to go with shit because it's just not right. The other one's not something that's even. Yeah, you don't even go there. So.
No.
I actually would not go for shit.
No.
Go for the-
Well,
But it's okay because I don't think.
It's
What
only
now?
a 5%
I would go with the first one just because you'd be coming and going.
Oh, hey, wait! I got a button for that. There we
Someone said poop every time I orgasm simply because constipation would be so easy to fix.
go. Fair enough.
All right, so would you rather be the smartest? So here's one that's not. This is the one I should have led with, but would you rather be the smartest person in the world or the stupidest person in the world?
I want everybody. Has everybody seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes, of
Okay.
course. It's a classic.
That's the first thing that comes to mind with stupidest person in the world, right? Like, that's the level I'm picturing when stupidest person in the world is Idiocracy, right? But then, I don't know. There's too many variables in this, right?
Oh, sorry. In both scenarios, you have the same level of intelligence you have now. So either you're the dumbest person in the world and you're this smart, or you're the smartest person in the world and you're this smart.
That makes no sense.
Well, then I would want to be the
that makes-
dumbest because everyone
so
would be
you're
smarter
either
and the
the
world would be a
the
better place.
stupidest person in the world, but with your current intelligence.
In current
So
intelligence.
everybody will be smarter.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Which hopefully the world would be a better place.
I think honestly, I'm gonna go with the smartest.
So everyone's dumber than
Yes,
you
everybody's
right now.
dumber than me right now because that's the way it already is.
Well.
So, there's that.
So I would definitely go with the dumbest person in the world because I wouldn't want like the pressure of being the smartest person in the world. I feel like
It's back to Idiocracy again.
There's too much.
I would
pressure.
love to be that guy. What's his name? I didn't even remember. It's
the Dak Shepard
Luke,
guy?
the Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson?
Yeah, the Luke Wilson. The Luke Wilson guy,
Welcome to
who's the
Costco.
smartest person in Idiocracy.
We love
and he's
you.
like the most average individual in today's standards, right? So yeah.
And then here's the one that I wanted to go. So this one's kind of long, and you're gonna have to follow along.
Oh God.
So there's 6 perks.
I got that ADD, Chris. I can't do it.
So 6 perks, and you could pick 2.
6 perks and pick
So
2.
think of it like your perk tree in your video game. There's these 6 options you can have. You can equip 2 of them. Money bags. $250 is given to you every day at midnight without fail. It can be given to you as cash or deposited into an account of your choice. The amount is automatically adjusted for inflation at the start of every year. That's the money bags perk. 2, superhuman. Your physical power increases by 20% across the board. This applies to all aspects of your abilities such as lifting, speed, reaction, jump, stamina, anything. In addition, the 20% affects your current ability, not your initial one. Meaning that so you could train up right now and then be like, I want the thing, or you could just take it as it is, basically. So if you learned how to take 400 pounds in a bench press, that you get 20% more. Prodigy. Your IQ is raised by 50 points. This affects your reasoning, problem solving, and overall ability to retain new information. Now here's where it gets interesting and why I got so excited about this. Looper. Every day you're given 60 minutes of time you can reverse. You can choose to use the whole hour at once or sprinkle it throughout the day. Meaning you stub your toe, you can immediately be like, screw this. I'm going back a minute where I don't stub my toe. At the midnight...
Wait. I think we need some clarification on this, and
Okay.
it probably doesn't go into it. if you die, does the looper effect still take effect?
Would you be aware of being dead?
I guess you probably wouldn't be aware of being dead, so I would say no.
Yeah.
But how much? So I
But
mean,
if you're dying, if you're
Dying.
like, I got stabbed by Jones because he finally had enough of my shit on the show on Thursday night, then I'm like, rewind 60 minutes.
how instant is death? Right? Nobody can really say. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, he died instantly." They don't know.
It depends.
Right? You get hit by a train, you're probably dead pretty damn quick, but I still bet there's that instant of pain that you go, before you're dead.
How long's your brain alive for?
Right. And so it's like, looper, take me back 10 seconds, whatever it is, whatever. So I think that looper thing also kind of ties into infinite life.
Yes, and they go into that this one has a lot of comments about it. Mad Men. You're given the ability to experience the effects of any drug on command. You can control the duration, intensity, or dosage. You undergo no negative health effects or dependencies or addictions. This includes recreational drugs like weed, LSD, heroin, pharmaceuticals such as Advil.
LSD is still a thing even? Is that around? Can you readily
I can
get
answer
LSD?
that question. So there was like one dude that made almost all of the LSD in North America.
Right,
Like
yeah,
one guy.
yeah.
And he got busted. So LSD nowadays is not actually LSD. It's just a bunch of like meth and a bunch of other crap. You can't really get pure LSD. I'll pee in a cup tomorrow if you want to know why that. Joking. Including
Yeah, but you do that anyways.
that's true. I pee in cups all the time. Pharmaceutical.
It's like a regular Howard
and then
Hughes
also, that is such a great joke. And also performance enhancing drugs, meaning that you can be like, I want the effects of steroids right now, or I want the effects of HGH right now, without having the. And then also efficient. You're no longer required to sleep, food, or drink, or need to use the bathroom. You're running in optimal settings for the rest of your life. Your body automatically adjusts itself as it sees fit. If you're overweight, it'll burn fat until you're not. If you're training to build muscle, you will do so without gaining fat, etc. Perks stack while applicable. So I would want the efficient one, and I would want the looper one.
I'm saying perks and looper.
Because
Do you have to choose two?
No, which one's perks? What do you mean by that?
The last one you said. I thought you said
Efficient.
Oh, was that
Efficient.
efficient? I thought you said.
So that's what I want too, is
Can you
efficient
run
and looper.
through up 6 real quick?
So the money bags, $250 in your account.
No, just say the
every day.
names. Just say the names.
Superhuman, so your physical strength 20%. Prodigy, your IQ raised by 50%. Looper, you give 60 minutes every day to reverse. Mad Men, you can experience the effects of drug on command. And efficient, meaning you no longer require sleep, food, drink, or you need to use the bathroom.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Yeah, the looper and the efficient.
Because I feel like the looper, I could get rich.
I would say Prodigy and Looper.
Prodigy and looper. So your IQ by 50 points, reasoning, problem solving, overall ability to retain new information.
Yeah.
Prodigy and efficient.
Prodigy and efficient. So you're saying Prodigy 50 points, and that would be a good combination because you wouldn't have sleep. You could become the smartest person in the world pretty quickly. Yeah, mine would be Looper, just because I feel like with Looper I'd be able to get rich. I'd be able to go into a casino and say, "Oh, it's a 00." All on 00.
There'd be a lot of fun things you could do with Looper too.
And then there'd be the efficient, like there would be a lot of fun things, like just to mess
Practical
with people.
jokes.
Yeah, for all kinds of practical jokes. You could set up all kinds of things, and
You get to experience a lot of things without
Hey,
See, now if you had just gone back,
looper.
nailed it. I do feel like I gotta be honest, I hate using the bathroom. I hate going poop. It's like the worst thing. I feel like human beings should like figure out how to not make that happen anymore because it's so degrading. I hate it, and so I want the efficient thing just for that.
unless you're doing it while coming.
Yeah, that's true. Except when I'm coming. So let's hit another one of these here. Would you rather have superpowers or $500 million? Superpowers you're choosing, or $500 million?
Superpower.
Or wait a minute, one of these random. Okay, so you have to click this link, and it gives you your superpower. So non-existence. is your superpower, which means you have the ability to completely erase any kind of existence, or $500,000 or $500 million.
That feels like me when I'm in a crowd, anyways. So
Yes,
It's like you can use your superpower to make more than $500 million.
you could. And then let's see.
We do have a feedback, not necessarily on the live, but on the a text I just got. A certain individual does opt for from the first conversation that we brought up on this, the first Would You Rather. It's definitely the poop's a deal breaker, so it's got to be the other one because you can just explain that out much like Tourette's. Like I have an issue. Sorry, I have an issue.
We didn't even think about that.
Right.
Who gave that feedback?
It's a person. It's a high level individual.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Would you rather have $10,000 put in your bank account every day, or you have to eat your hands?
Your hands?
I think I'd go with the money.
Why would that even be a choice?
I know. Oh yeah. Why is this one even a thing? So you either get $10,000 in your bank account, or you have to eat both your hands. The way they phrase that is not correct, is it?
That's like one bad thing or one good thing. Of course,
Yeah.
you would choose the good thing.
That's a bad would you rather.
That's a bad Would You Rather. We don't like that one.
Apparently, this is not the greatest podcast ever, or the greatest.
No, this is the greatest podcast ever.
It is the greatest podcast ever, but it's not the greatest subject ever.
The greatest today.
We ran out of steam there pretty quick.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That was pretty funny though with the pooping thing. That's some insightful like that. I want to play this game with that person. I'm gonna have to find out who that was.
I don't know if I could explain away dropping the N-word just 5% of the time, and it also depends on where you're at. There are places where I just wouldn't be talking.
That's true.
A lot.
But you can always just then explain, especially if you're about to go into an important conversation. Like, just so you know, there's a 5% chance I might use the N-word.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden you use the N-word right there. You're like, oh wait a minute, hold on, I didn't explain it yet. I do want to talk about one tech thing that was announced this week, Jones.
Okay.
Did you hear about the
God.
headphones that they're coming out with?
No.
So Google is coming out with headphones that are going to be able to translate on the fly using your smartphone.
I don't know what that means.
It means Babelfish, baby, which is what everybody compared it to. So in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there's this little fish that they put in their ear, and they're able to understand every language in the universe. And this is very much like this, where the Google Pixel Buds are paired with your new handset, the Google Pixel 2, and then the earbuds tap into Google Assistant, and it can translate 40 languages on the fly. Meaning you're speaking to me in Mandarin Chinese, and I'm hearing you in English.
And it works the other way too. You can say in English, and then your phone will live translate whatever you say to the other
So,
language.
from what I'm hearing, it's only as good as Google Translate. And I guess Google Translate just absolutely knocks it out of the park on the Latin-based stuff. But some languages that are a little different, like I heard Finnish is really bad. I heard if you translate anything into Finnish, it pretty much makes no sense. There's Finnish words in there, but it makes no sense. So obviously they're going to have to do some more work on the Google Assistant and the Google Translate. But Google Translate's been around for like over a dozen years now. It's one of the very first things that Google came out with, so it's been around for a while. So it's going to be applicable with the application works with Google Translate and then also machine learning. So it's basically kind of a personal translator that maybe with the machine learning can kind of, if you come from somewhere that maybe your dialect's a little bit different or something like that, it could possibly learn with you. So
I'm just shocked that you guys are not covering. This week is a big tech week.
yeah, I had a couple things. There was I watched.
We're
the
very
Google-
busy individuals, Steven. We don't have time all the time to just go review what's going on in tech. You know, sometimes
You know what we
just
need to do is
sometimes
have-
we just have to have would you rather Reddit conversations. All right, that's what we have to do sometimes.
Talk about poop.
Now, yeah, talk about poop and the N-word. I do have a question though, and I'm gonna paraphrase a movie here. Marty, what's in the box? What's in the box, Marty? Marty,
What is
what's
in
in
the
the box?
What is in the box?
It was on the table, and now it's off the table, and now it's right
Is
here.
that whiskey?
Oh,
This
it's
is
gonna open. Ooh.
What is that?
It's an aubergine.
Aubergine.
So it's liquor.
It is.
We knew it was liquor.
Liquor? Damn near newer.
What is an aubergine?
An aubergine is like a cognac.
93.
1993.
This is from a... They made
Let's
boxes
see.
better back then, too.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. I like that.
You're not... is that the kind of bottle you don't pro hop off of? You don't just, like, hit it back?
Look at that.
It smells like cognac.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of this fancy
Cognac
stuff's...
is higher end brandy,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smells like cognac. High-end liquor is lost on me. Like,
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you haven't truly tried. Then I got to be 100% honest. I will agree. I was once in your view. For instance, when I was a much younger individual,
You were a younger pup?
Probably.
This is probably a very expensive
when
bottle of
did I
liquor, so-
first start it? When did I first start there? I think I was probably just 23, 24 years old, something like that. My boss at the time, for my birthday, gave me a semi-expensive bottle of scotch for my birthday.
So probably one of the most expensive bottles of...
It's a
liquor.
McClellan's Highland single malt. It's like $45-$50 a bottle. So as far as scotches go, definitely not anywhere near the most expensive, but definitely not anywhere near the bottom shelf either, right? It's a decent gift. And I tasted it, and I just was like, oh, no. It's like car exhaust was my first impression when I tasted it. And you couldn't even mix it with stuff. It just made Coke taste like car exhaust. in my opinion at the time. And so it was just like, I think it's still sitting maybe possibly in Jesse's liquor cabinet.
Did you
I don't
tell
know where
him
it
that you
was,
mixed
but-
it with Coke?
No, I did not. Of course not. And I didn't tell him that I didn't like it. It's not, you don't do that. Because it was a very thoughtful gift. It was a nice gift. It was a more expensive gift, right? I mean, it was good. Since then, however, I have been more open to trying, straight, right? Not mixing, but trying straight alcohols, different ones, whiskeys, scotches, bourbons. I still will never do vodka straight because that's just wrong.
A good vodka, though?
No, it's not. It's not okay. It's not okay.
You freeze
It
it,
is.
put it in the freezer. You drink it really cold.
There is a difference between high-end vodka. I had a roommate in Toronto about 19 years ago who was Polish.
Everyone's going to know you're from Canada. They're going to wonder why your head separates when you talk. Everyone's going to know now.
What's up, babe, buddy?
Terrence and Phillips' cousin, Marty.
Hey, buddy. But and so his mom used to bring him over bottles of Polish vodka, and the difference. I mean, it was so good.
Tequila's the same way. Like, that's one thing that I have noticed the difference for. Like, Jose Cuervo, you drink it, and then a really high-end tequila, there's a little bit of a difference there. But, like, so Pappy Van Winkle. Pappy Van Winkle's supposedly this, ooh, it's so great. Like, it's, like, hella expensive, and everybody's a snob about it. And I had it, like, and to me, it was just, like, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between that and, like, Jack Daniels.
Really.
Maybe my palate is not as sensitive.
Well, we'll try some of this afterwards.
We will. Speaking of afterwards, it's almost afterwards time, Jonesy.
Yeah, and it is. So, essentially, what I would like to close on is we didn't cover it in the weekend review, but it's kind of where it should have been covered. The tragedy in Vegas. Very bad thing happened there. And I'm not going to turn this into a discussion. It's going to be a Q&A, essentially. But what I want to know are your guys' thoughts on the following. So, this person does not match any of the profiles for somebody who would, if the FBI was to profile somebody, right, and say, this person did this guy does not meet that profile. Plain and simple. It's just there's nothing there, right? Yeah, there was plenty of leftist views and anti-Trump and everything else on the social media and whatnot. But that, the leftist of it basically defeats the right wing stuff that he had, as you know, obviously like 50 plus guns that were in his he owned between his what was in his house and what was with him in the damn hotel room and everything else. So does this, what are you guys' thoughts on just, you know, how do we take this? Obviously the anti-gun movement is starting up again, gun control, stricter gun laws, everything else, that's starting up again with this, because anytime there is a shooting, that's what happens, regardless of mass, 2 people, 58 people, whatever. This is the talk that we get from that. But I just, this one here doesn't fit anything, right? It's not, there's no real mental illness, sign of mental illness like there's been in some other shootings. Right? I mean, yeah, obviously the guy did not have it all.
We determined
upstairs.
he was not using modified weapons, right?
Well, he was using
bump stocks.
He was, which is.
Yeah, but
that's when I say modified weapon, I mean he took a semi-automatic weapon and made it an automatic weapon.
I don't know if
illegal.
they said that yet or not.
I think the thing I read today was that the NRA was.
The NRA made a statement. Their statement was that they are in favor of tighter regulation on bump stocks.
Yeah.
And that was about it. But I have not officially heard anything. Okay, so as someone who came from a country that has extremely tight gun laws.
right.
They work as long as the guns aren't out there. Because when
guns
I
are
hear,
already out there in
yeah,
America.
because I hear, well, gun control doesn't work. I'm from a country that I worked at a trauma hospital downtown Toronto. Average number of shootings in a year, 4 to 8. 4 to 8 shootings a year in our hospital. Boston gets that in a day. So you tell me it
Chicago
doesn't
gets
work.
that in an hour.
Yeah.
I mean-
And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying if you want to start talking statistics, you want to start talking about what works or not.
But let's go ahead, and I agree. Obviously, if you take everything away, right?
Yeah.
If you could somehow magically flip a switch and those guns are gone, I don't necessarily. You're not going to have shootings per se, but maybe then, you know, who's to say that he doesn't drive a bus through that crowd?
Well,
of
and that's it.
concert
And that's
goers,
exactly,
right?
and that's what probably the NRA and a lot of other people will say, is that if you're determined to kill someone, you're going to. You're going to get a bus, you're going to rent a van, and you could run through.
Or
and,
Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
You get a whole bunch of fertilizer, right? I mean, literally, it was the guy bought not necessarily common, but definitely accessible items, fertilizer,
Yeah.
ammonium nitrate, things like that you can buy. It's a thing you can get, and he killed many more than 58 people in
Yeah.
that. I mean, one person was responsible for that, and a lot more than 58 people died in the Oklahoma City bombing. So, and you know, it always goes back to guns because that's the hot topic. That's the buzzword, gun control and everything else. But back to your comment on the 4 to 8, excuse me, gun injuries, are we going to call them? I mean, so were those self-inflicted, or were those
no, those were generally
crimes against people that somebody had a gun used against them?
Well, I mean, and again, working in the hospital, working in the area I worked in, we didn't necessarily know.
Get the whole story, right?
No, it was just you knew there was a gunshot coming in.
So
that was about it.
I think, and this is based on like Australia, right? Australia has had the gun ban. They went and took people's guns away. They, you know, we've all seen the videos of them being bulldozed into big piles and then smashed and crunched and everything else. There are mixed statistics from there, but I do know a few people that live in Australia, and they basically have said, while overall the amount of gun violence has gone down, the amount of crime involving guns has gone up. And that's armed robberies and everything else, because now you've basically taken away a majority of the guns for those people that were law-abiding and turned over their guns. The guns that people didn't turn over and the guns that were never registered and the guns, everything else that were illegal to begin with in Australia are still out there and are still accessible by who? The criminals.
But is this also one of those things where it hasn't had enough time?
The gun ban was 90s?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing.
Again, I'm not sure.
Right, it's I don't know. It goes back to the whole. I mean, you see a lot of it on there. Is like, oh well, if guns are are legal, nobody can get them. Well, yeah, because it's worked so well for drugs, right? Drugs aren't illegal, and people get those on a readily basis. So,
yeah,
it's
Wait a minute, you can get drugs that are illegal on a regular basis?
Okay, so access to gun, though, even for criminals, because most guns that are used in a crime are at one point, because all guns at one point in the U.S. are legally produced and
Correct.
legally sold.
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't say legally sold. There's plenty
The first
of
sale, though.
First sale. That's what he's talking about.
Well, no, because that's not even true.
Most firearms that are used in crimes were firearms that people own
Yes.
or purchased, not firearms that they found on the street or obtained illegally. In fact, most of the guns that are involved in crimes are traceable. They're not untraceable guns.
Yeah.
Well, they're traceable back to whoever filed them as stolen because they were stolen in a home invasion or in an armed robbery or just in a general burglary, right?
Most firearms that are used in crimes are actually people's own guns.
No.
Yes, that's most of the firearms used in crimes
That are registered to them.
Yes, that are registered to someone. In
Right,
the family.
exactly. They're not registered to the person shooting somebody.
But that's the thing is that goes to then the responsibility of the gun owner as far as how they secure their firearm.
But if you look at the number of shootings in the U.S., just the shootings in general, which a lot of them are domestic,
Yeah?
the statistics on shootings in the U.S. compared to every other civilized country the difference is astronomical. You're looking at 1, 2, 25, the U.S., and it's like the thousands. I mean, it really is a difference because and I'm not saying right or wrong. I mean, I actually can say that I like going out target shooting. I've got a couple. So yeah, I do enjoy that privilege, I guess. But at the same time, the availability to something that can cause such a great amount of violence at the drop of a hat, rather than being able to stop and think about things sometimes. I don't know.
Okay, so that's a valid point. Now let me ask you this. 30 years ago, were gun laws stricter or less strict? If you want the answer, it's 100% less strict. Gun laws have tightened 100-fold in the last 30 years.
Okay.
100%. That's look it up, Google it, whatever you want to do. Guns themselves have not changed much in 30 years.
Guns have become a lot safer in the last 30 years.
Guns for that specific purpose, to be in your home. They have better safety measures and everything else, right? But guns as they function as a whole have not changed a whole lot in the past 30 years.
Well, in the last 10 years or 5 to 10 years, especially handguns, it's impossible for them to misfire. As in,
right.
What happens in movies of you dropping a gun on the floor and then it goes off? And
Yeah,
shoots
it just
somebody?
doesn't happen.
It cannot happen.
Right. So the point being is, guns have not changed in the past 30 years. But you go ahead and look at gun deaths from 30 years ago to now. There's a huge increase in gun deaths.
No.
In the last 30 years.
No.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to call you saying you're pulling it out of your butt, but I feel like violent crime as a whole is like way down in the last 30 years. Way down. So let's see, gun deaths. So are we talking, you got to realize any statistic that I'm looking up right now is probably going to include suicide.
Well, that's another valid thing, though.
Which you should take out.
How many mass shootings?
Why should you take that
There's
out?
more mass shootings, yes.
How many mass shootings did you hear about?
There's more
30
mass
years
shootings,
ago?
but there's
Okay?
there's less murder.
So that's the point, though. That's the whole point. Is these fanatical type of gun violence that you hear about now have definitely increased over the 30 years. The kind of shootings that we've heard about over the past 10 years were unheard of 30 years ago. Plain and simple. It's just. So the guns haven't changed. The gun laws have gotten more strict than they were 30 years ago. I don't necessarily want to say that there's more or less guns in the United States as there were 30 years ago
the same
versus
amount of
today.
Americans have been killed by guns since 1968 that have been killed by war in the history of America. But these statistics are, and keep in mind, I probably am more liberal on this.
The point I am trying to make is this: we are definitely different now as far as gun violence goes today than we were 30 years ago. But guns have not changed in 30 years.
So mass murder.
So what does that leave? What does that leave has changed?
Mass murder only accounts
People and society have changed. That's what's changed. Guns have not. Gun laws have not. Gun laws have changed, actually, but they've gotten stricter, not more lenient. So the problem is, and the problem lies with society as a whole and how we handle things and what's happening. You want to go ahead and look at scientific studies done for dense space populations, right? Where you take mice and you place them in a confined space, right? In a group. Those mice have normal behavior for the first X amount of time, and then all of a sudden, it just starts changing, right? They start becoming violent, they start attacking, they start eating each other. I mean, it's the whole thing. So, as the population grows and population densities increase, psychologies change in the mind, brain physiology changes in the mind. There's a million factors at play here that people aren't taking into account because they want to take the easy way out and blame something that has not changed in 30 years. That's my 100% opinion on this, and people can agree or disagree, but
I mean,
you cannot argue the fact. That's statistically factual, is guns have not changed that much in 30 years.
Are we? I mean, if we're prepared to get into this, my opinion is in the last 30 years, there's been the rise of the 24-hour news cycle, which vilifies these people and puts them on the news cycle and turns them into heroes. That is the problem.
That's
right there.
That's a part of society, my friend.
But there's
I agree. That's the
changed.
thing we need to be focusing on. We need to be focusing on that.
You want to know what the other major thing is?
And mental health. How mental health is a stigma in this country.
Go ahead and do this fact check for you. Your mind will be blown. Go ahead and start looking when mass shootings first started happening, and compare that to when social media first became popular. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, mass
check.
shootings go back. There was a mass shooting in the 70s at a McDonald's that for years was the worst mass shooting of all time for years and years.
And that was the only one from before and the only one since for many, many years. Now they're as commonplace as way more than they should be.
So there was one in 1929. There was one in 1933.
Okay, so that's 4 years.
So
we're lucky to go a year between mass shootings in the United States anymore.
Yeah, there's one in 77. Now let's click on 2017. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's just in 2017. Go back to 2000. When did Facebook really start hitting a stride? When did other social media platforms
there was
really start
three.
hitting a platform?
One thing that we gotta be careful here, though, is the definition of mass shooting is when 4 or more victims are shot in the same crime. That's considered a mass shooting. Did you know that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So very easily can many incidences be considered a mass shooting when the definition of it is 4 or more people.
I don't necessarily disagree with that fact, though. I think if one person is shooting 4 people, absolutely that's a mass shooting. I mean, should it bear the same weight as one person shooting 58 people? No, not at all. But it's still one person killing 4 people or more.
Selected indiscriminately. Which means that if I kill my whole family, which happens all the time, unfortunately, then that doesn't count as a mass shooting. It's indiscriminately selecting them, is what according to the
I like I said, that's the family thing. There may be premeditation there involved and everything else, and I don't know how much whatever. But the mass shooting thing, it's eerily tied to the rise of social media and the rise of poor media reporting and change in media reporting, like responsible media reporting, number one. They're all very closely tied together.
Well, it's also like you said, it's the immediate access.
Yeah.
To, I mean, everyone with their cell phone. Well, that's now online. That's now news, and every news agency is buying it. If you look at how much crime has, and a lot of statistics show that crime's actually gone down.
I mean, there's
violent crime.
Yeah. Violent crime has gone down.
Yeah, violent crime has gone down. But and here's the thing. But the reporting on it, like you were saying, has gone up. When I was a kid, I don't remember ever hearing about these things. And that was because the news when I was a kid was for my area. The TV was for my area. And that's the way it was. I lived in a city, but I mean, that's all we learned about was the news in our area. So you would hear about a child getting kidnapped once every few years. Now, because of the way we consume media, that's the number one story. I mean, I've actually stopped going to Facebook the way I used to, because it's like, oh, wow, that's really depressing.
Yeah.
I'm turning off so many things because it's not that I'm trying to, maybe I am trying to insulate myself, because you know what? I can't do anything about a lot of this stuff, and I don't want everything
but
is
you
depressing
are
me.
doing something by what you're doing. Like that's the thing is I think that's a lot of and you can argue with me. Like there's plenty of people that argue with me that it's a mental health issue, that it's a gun issue. That's fine. I can argue that against that. But if you look at this, and I've kept a real good look on this Las Vegas thing. And the problem is that CNN within 30 minutes had this guy's name and this guy's face fucking plastered on the front of their website. And there's the notoriety he wanted. You know, and that needs to stop. And you know what? I was so angry at that, but I've taken a look at it, and it does seem like there is, if you look at in 99 when Columbine happened, and you look at this newest shooting that happened in Las Vegas, there's a difference in the reporting. And hopefully that continues in that they want to not give these people this, you know, notoriety is not the right word. I'm saying that word wrong, I think. Notoriety, yes. Sorry, thank you. There's countries that have outlawed. There's scientific studies that show that leads to more mass shootings. The way that these people are reporting on it, it's irresponsible. And it's the whole fake news thing. If you want to talk about it, it's not that it's fake news. It's the fact that these people are reporting the news with a huge slant to get you to do what they want you to do,
which is consume their media to consume ads so that they get paid, and that has been news.
It's fucking Pepsi's fault. It's because Pepsi needs to get.
Well, no, but okay, you're talking about CNN announcing the name and the photo of the shooter within 30 minutes. Where did they get that? They got that information
from social media.
No, from the law enforcement.
Oh.
So
well, they should be more responsible with that information.
Ask them to release. Ask the media agency to release.
Did they ask? Did they ask the next day for expose of a mass murderer? Did they ask that? Because I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Media to release these information, it's all hell break loose. It's up to the media, however they want to say it, because then they can't control the media as they say, oh, you can only say this and not this. Media is not.
No, the whole problem is there's no accountability in media anymore.
There never has been. There was
responsibility. There was
self-accountability.
That was my point. Was responsibility.
Yes, I think that the journalists of yesteryear didn't get the pressure that they get nowadays to get views and stuff like that. Walter Cronkite and stuff like that was out to report the news. He wasn't out to influence an election.
I agree with you on that. When you're talking about people like Walter Cronkite, but when you start looking at the newspapers.
I mean, look at these people. These people
they were so
make up,
salacious in
Brian,
how they would.
Whatever his face is, he'll just make up stuff so he seems cool, and like, it's just disgusting, dude. I've started to tune out of all that stuff, but at the same time, I don't want to tune out because it makes it seem like they win. I want to know what.
Do people ever think that these mass shooting people are cool?
No, I mean fucking.
Yeah,
I mean
are.
Brian. Unfortunately, there are.
The answer to your question, absolutely.
Like a good portion of it.
Enough.
But there is a whole underground.
There's someone out there right now that is broken by society for whatever reason, whether it be they're not getting the mental health, or they've been abused, or
genetically from birth.
whatever reason, or is just outside of the FBI's thing. There's someone sitting in front of a TV consuming this kind of stuff and saying to themselves, you know what? I'm going to add that to my manifesto. and they're just going to add stuff like that, and eventually they're going to break because of things like that. I mean, that's my opinion.
I agree with the mental health issue 100%.
Mental health has a huge stigma. I can't even say like I struggle with mental health issues. I have bipolar disorder, and I'm mentally ill, and I can't even say that to people sometimes without getting like a visceral reaction from people. Well, people that I've known for years.
That's starting to change.
I will mention
slowly.
that to them, and they will immediately think that I'm some crazy bat. Like, you can't even mention that kind of stuff.
It's starting
and
to change.
until that changes, people aren't going to seek the help they want or they need.
Issues have existed, but before people weren't really acting on it as far as like going.
It's just a perfect storm.
Or pulling the trigger, but now why are people acting on that more now than before?
Okay, it goes back to social media, the regular media, and everywhere else. You can't avoid it. It's in your face wherever you go.
You could even then start talking about TV and everything is so much more violent.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I can't see a
no,
titty.
it
I
is.
can't see a
is.
titty on television, but someone can literally get their brains
Yes.
beat to death.
Blown
with no
apart.
problem. Like, that's fine, but show a nipple. Oh my God, girls
Exactly.
have nipples.
Yeah, and that is what I don't understand personally, because I want to see nipples. No,
Who doesn't want to see nipples?
no. But what I don't understand is there's this it's this hypocrisy of what's okay to show. You can't show a natural part of a woman's body, but you can show someone getting their head blown off every single night.
Torture,
Which, by the way,
everything else. Yeah.
That's completely opposite in almost every first world country. That's completely flipped around. You go over to France, you can watch a commercial with the girl's bush on it, but you can't watch Walking Dead in primetime television.
They have bushes?
Yes, they have full nudity in some of their commercials.
Bushes, though? They're not shaved? They're full bushes?
Have you seen people from France? They don't shave their armpits here. Oh, you wouldn't survive there.
I wouldn't. I don't
But maybe that has a lot to do with it. Maybe it's the fact that we're
Do you bring
decentralized.
clippers on a
We are
first date? Is that a thing?
desensitized.
Desensitized to violence.
That's what I'm trying. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is I think in general, and I know I'm going to piss people off when I say that, but I really think that we. Are
I think everyone's already
desensitized.
tuned out. Like I think people were like,
just us
the
now.
beginning of it was really great with the graphics thing, and then they did that like kind of would you rather thing that was kind of funny but fell on his face, and then they got really serious at the end.
No, we still got listeners, but I think the point, the better point is violence in TV, violence in video games, violence in everywhere.
Violence.
Is violence. We desensitize, right? But at some point, people that have normal, whatever normal is, once they see too much, they just stop watching that, right? Like Criminal Minds. I don't watch Criminal Minds anymore because the first time I watched it, I saw something I did not like. And I don't watch that show anymore, right?
Oh, I'm a huge hypocrite in that I'm going to sit here and be like, it's violence in video games, it's violence, and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to fucking watch Breaking Bad because it's real. Like at least I can recognize that I'm a hypocrite, I guess.
But at the same time, you aren't getting tendencies from that to go out and kill a bunch of people, right?
No, but I am saying that that's part of the problem. So maybe I should stop consuming that kind of media.
I think what it is we've never had, number one, as we've stated, there's never been decent mental health help or mental health issue help, whatever you want to call it, right? There's never been that ever, right?
Yes.
And now we are adding so much stimuli, whether it be violence on television, whether it be fake news on Facebook or people posting stuff on Facebook, people posting stuff on social media, that's a trigger, right? That's all social media is a trigger for people with mental health issues.
Okay, so how about if you start talking about like videos on YouTube and that, there's now been a big trend for videos of people, doing something stupid. Oh, those are funny. They're skateboarding, they wipe out, all those. I watched a couple and, they were funny. I agree. And then I saw a couple where people actually really got hurt. And people are laughing at these. And I thought, wait, that person really just got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, seriously injured. And the comments are like, did you see that dude get taken out? And it's like, yeah, he just got hurt, man. Like, so it's that level of being desensitized towards what you're visually seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's everything because I would say I would say that I'm probably the most desensitized person at this table. I have seen things on the internet. I've seen all kinds of things on the internet involving death and all kinds of stuff like that. And I don't even blink an eye at that kind of stuff.
But I think, like I said,
I also don't want to go out and kill people. So obviously it's a combination of
it goes
a lot
back
of
to
stuff.
the whole mental health awareness thing, right?
It is.
There are so many other mental health issues out there that we don't even know about, we don't even address, we don't even do anything with, right? That things like society's changes that we have with social media and the media constantly in your face and the media only doing specific type of reporting. You never see feel-good stories on media anymore. They don't exist because they don't sell advertisements.
You see them on local media, and I love them. I love them for it.
Kitties. Lots of
But
kitties.
you know what else you see on local media? And I know you're not a big fan of this guy, but John Oliver does a little segment on his show sometimes where he talks. He's the guy on HBO, the liberal guy on HBO. He shows these things that are all like arsenic in your water. Is it killing your family? Tonight at 10. So you definitely see that kind of stuff at the local level too. But anyway,
yeah, it's just like I said. There's so much other out there that we need to be focusing on, but the media steers these cattle, sheep, whatever you want to call them, towards what the media wants to steer them towards at that time. What the media may be being paid billions of dollars to steer them towards. That's what gets reported. That's
Well, the media is also owned by huge conglomerates, that have their own self-interest and. I can say this. This issue is just like healthcare, is just like political reform. It's just like everything in this country that we need to come together as a country. We need to come together as a people and be like, okay, listen, we all agree that this is not working. So let's figure out why it's not working and come together. But they cannot even stand to sit in a room long enough without fighting with their self-interest to get that done.
Well, it's
the
easy way out. That's what everybody wants to do. Take the problem. Oh, this one. Look at this. It's guns. That's the problem. If we remove all guns, we remove the problem. Well, guess what? Removing all guns is going to be more of an issue overall than addressing worldwide mental health, let alone the United States mental health. You can't. It's everybody thinks that one way is easier than the other, and it's just not true.
Like you said, everybody's looking for the easier way out because we're in that mode of instant gratification, instant result. We're unwilling to be patient anymore, to work hard on finding a solution. Either it has to work right away, or we're not even willing to deal with it.
Bingo. 100%. I have never agreed with anything that's coming out of your mouth except for that. Except, do you want a piece of chocolate pie? That's the only thing. 100%. That's why I get so frustrated with the whole repeal and replace of Obamacare. Why can't we just fix the system that we put in place? Let's just fix the system that we put in place. It's fixable. Everything's fixable.
We don't have that much time tonight.
Anyway, sorry. Yes, we are at an hour and 22 minutes. Thanks for all the people that have listened to the very end. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
By the way, this episode is 100% going to be called Did Marty Kill Dave? Question mark.
So there's that.
Anyway.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Routine, brought to you by our friends at Bastion Technologies and Protocol 42.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
See ya.